What's up, everybody? Anthony here, or Swift Cop, whatever you want to call me. Today, I'm going to be showing you how to start up simple Amazon EC2 instance, maybe toss an elastic IP on it so you won't have to deal with your IP switching, and just run through that kind of stuff really quickly so we're all on the same page as far as servers are concerned. The main reason we're using Amazon AWS is because they're legitimately one of the larger server providers, or one of the largest server providers in the world, and why wouldn't you use servers from the largest server provider in the world? Because they're going to be the best. They're probably, yeah, they're going to be used a lot, but like they're going to be the best servers that you're going to find. And especially for the price, you get to choose whatever you want. You get to choose, how many you want. And plus, the best part is you can just stop the server without having to destroy it, and your billing completely stops. Start it back up whenever you want. With an elastic IP address, your IP address will stay the same on a start and a stop, and that's basically all we need to do. You could keep your server cold for 3 months, start it up, no cost associated for that whole 3 months, and then you start back up the server, you still have everything there, and you can just get going to wherever you need to go. So it's super useful. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is just, head over to the Amazon AWS page. I typed AWS, AWS. Anyways, this is the main page that we're going to want to get to. Uh, a couple things to note. If you're a student, you can get some student deals. So you go to like student AWS and education, depending what university you go to with a edu email address, you do get either like 40 or $80 or like $100 credit to start your account. So that's super cool. And if you're not a student, you can even come over to eBay and you can search AWS credit and you can buy credit from these events that basically give out these codes. And so a good one is probably like this $150 in credit that you can purchase for only $35. And that's basically a steal. I have a couple of these and they work pretty well. So from here, we're going to want to come over to this AWS main panel. And since I'm already signed in, this will take me right to the dashboard that we need to be at. Uh, I'm sure people will get confused by all of this because there's a lot of stuff here, but we're essentially just interested in this EC2 menu right here under services. So we'll click on that, and this is our main dashboard for the um, EC2 instance manager, I suppose. It's probably going to ask you what location you want to be stationed in. It really doesn't matter. You can be wherever you want. There's a couple of different options. I'm located in the U.S. East, North Virginia. Depending on where you want to, be closer to wherever you buy your proxies from, just pick whatever location you want, but this is where I'm located. So from here, all we have to do is basically launch an instance. And on this page, we're going to see a couple of different images that it's going to want us to choose from to be the basis of the server. And so we're only interested in a Windows server, and we're probably only interested in currently a 2012 base, unless we see any kind of special improvements in like a 2016 base. So stick with like a we're gonna stick with 2012 base, and we just want stock 2012 server instance. So it looks like we're looking at this one with a 64-bit architecture, which is perfect, exactly what we need. If you want to try out the 2016, if it works, cool. But in terms of consistency and reliability, I think 2012 is still the best way to go. For instance type, you do have a lot of options here. First thing I want to note is that there's a lot of um, there's a lot of optimizations here to parts that we really don't need. So scrolling down to the bottom of the page, storage optimization, we don't give a fuck about storage. Memory, we don't give a fuck about memory. GPU, same. The only thing that we would be semi interested in would be either general purpose, or probably the main thing that we should be interested in would be the compute optimized instances. These instances give us more CPUs and more performance for the cost. And so really what you want to do is just give uh, deselect everything else and just stick with this compute optimized menu. Now the differences between these are going to be the fact that you can use EBS storage, SSD storage, or have different network performances for whatever server you choose. Now, I haven't tried the SSD storages. I just stick with this EBS storage because, like I said before, I think That's the main one that you're able to use. And you're able to stop the server, start it without being billed. I'm not sure if you can do that with SSD storage, but I haven't tried yet. So if you can, I would switch over to SSD storage, no doubt. But um, until I try that or until someone can confirm it, I'm just gonna stick with EBS for now. And so if you're not sure which to choose between all these, you might want to, you know, just like I'd say this one, C4 2X large is a good basis. Uh, 2K tasks, probably no problem. 8 CPUs, 15 gigs of memory, and then the high network performance, um, depending on what they say. I don't know what high network performance constitutes, but I'm assuming it's just a 1 gigabit network port. And if you're kind of wondering what the costs are for all of this, Amazon does have a page to show you. Otherwise, there's this really nifty page that I found called ec2instances.info, and um, it's essentially uh, let's see if I can. No, I can't. Oh, it's like right there. It essentially breaks down the cost for all the servers right here. So it looks like our compute instances are actually at the top already, and so these are what we're choosing from. So since we're going to choose C4 2X large, it looks like C4 2X large costs about 80 cents per hour, which is a pretty good rate for what we're going to be purchasing. So we'll hit next, configure instance details, and you don't have to touch any of this. The only one that you may want to touch would be this tenancy option, which gives you the full-on dedicated option. Now with this, I haven't noticed a difference between either of these options. The only option that you should be mindful of is the fact that this one costs an additional $2 per hour, I believe. So I honestly don't see the $2 an hour being worth what this one costs, and I'm fine with whatever this one provides for me because it's been doing me pretty well so far. So I'll keep it unshared. You don't need to touch any of this. Storage, keep it the same. Um, it looks like EBS may just be using an SSD as well, so that's actually pretty good for us. But you don't have to touch any of this. Just move on, move on. All this looks good. You don't have to touch any of this, like I said. You just go to this final page. It all looks good. Just launch it. That's all you have to do. Now, this part may get a couple people. I understand why, but it's essentially your security portion for your server. So what this key pair is, it's essentially it's an encrypted password that only this Amazon dashboard is able to decrypt based on however they encrypt it. So you're essentially creating a secure passphrase for your server. And so you're going to create a new key pair, and let's just call something like test one. And so we're going to download the key pair, and it's going to download to our computer. Oh, let's do test two. And it's going to download to our computer. That's essentially the password for our server. So that's important. Don't lose that. Don't delete that. You need that. And so it's going to go through the launch states, and it's going to, you know, start installing this server. So while that server is installing, there's something else that we're going to want to do. We're going to want to create an elastic IP, which is essentially a permanent IP address for this server. And you can come down to elastic IP over network and security, and you're going to allocate a new address, and essentially just creates a reserved IP address just for you. It costs a couple extra cents per hour, but it's completely worth it, and a couple extra cents is almost nothing, so just get it. Um, so as you can see, we now have a server, and if we want to associate that elastic IP address to this server that we just created, the server can't be running, obviously because it already assigned an IP address to the server. You're going to want to stop the server and then do these steps, but you select the server, hit actions, networking, and you'd want to associate the elastic IP address to the server, and then it'll just give you a screen that gives you whatever options you have, um, whatever options you have kind of listed in this elastic IP section. So it would only show two of these IPs to select to allocate to the server. It's super easy. That's all you need to do, but it's a super important step. So we're going to have this server that we're going to want to connect to. So the server takes a couple of minutes to initialize as well as the password being associated to the server. So now that it's initialized, we can basically connect to the server, and we're going to want to download the remote desktop file. I already clicked that, and it gives us this file down here, which is essentially openable in just like the standard Windows RDP program. Um, And then we're also going to want to be able to get the password for this. So once we click this, we can essentially just connect to the server, and it's going to ask us for a password, which is what we're going to get right now. So you have to remember this is what the key pair is for. We're going to find this downloaded key pair that we used earlier and test2.pm, and this is the private encrypted key, and we're going to decrypt it, and this is the password for our server right here. Super easy, just don't lose that key pair, or that encrypted file for your password, server password. And so we'll just paste that right into here. hmm Make sure you actually copy it though. Paste it right in here and you should be able to connect to your server. You just hit yes to everything. And the server most likely is still going through the boot up process, but that's all you have to do. Once the server is completely booted up and initialized, it'll start up. You can install everything you want on it, and the server is completely fine for you to use. If you ever need to reconnect to it, you just come back over here, you hit connect, and you download the remote desktop file, and you make sure to put in your password again, and just copy the same password. This password won't change. Um, and if you do want to stop this server to stop your billing, you hit stop, and that'll stop all billing and start it whenever you want again. Restarts billing, and all your stuff is still going to be there. And that's all there is to it. Thanks for watching.